Hello everybody, just testing if you can hear the sound, let me know in the chat. Just testing if you can hear the sound, let me know in the chat. You hear me? Alright, so we got about 30 seconds to go before we go live. 23 seconds to be precise. Alright, I hope you guys are getting ready for the countdown. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. And hello everybody, welcome to Live from Lockdown episode 60. Wow, 60, that's a big number. To be honest though, I went back and was looking at the broadcast. This is actually really number 59. I think it was number 32 or something we skipped over. So next week is officially 60. But anyway, thanks guys for joining us. It's great to have all the regulars here. And by the way, I see the chat is going crazy. If you're a regular, say hello. Great to have you there. Once again, a lot of you guys have not missed a single episode, which is incredible. And if you're new here, welcome. Drop your name into the chat, say hello, let people know where you're from. This is the friendliest group of people on the internet, so you've come to a great place. And if you're excited about Photoshop, Lightroom, photography, design, all those good things, you've also come to the right place, because we come here every Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And we get together around Photoshop and creativity, and it's what we do. And that's my intro. And the rest of the time, it's pretty spontaneous, it's pretty low-key and fun. So, and sometimes we get pretty deep in some things. So if you guys have missed the live stream, you're watching the replay, so just drop your comments into the chat section there. I also read those. And the live chat, of course, is when we're live between 1 p.m. Pacific time and somewhere around 2-ish. We kind of keep it casual here. We're not on a strict schedule. And speaking of not on a strict schedule, Bruce is not able to make it this week. He's got some business he has to take care of. So you guys are stuck with just me, and I guess you guys are going to have to grab your own drinks if you're a regular, you know what I mean. So he's not here to take our drink and food orders this week. So that's all on me. Now, what we have this week is a highly anticipated, we've been talking about this for a few weeks. We're going to be diving into Boris FX Optics. And, we'll do some other stuff too, but we're going to dig in there. This is our chance to kind of look at some of the things it can do at a slower pace. I dropped a video last Saturday, which was, a 5-10 minute tutorial shows how to use it. This time we're going to dig in a little bit more. And you guys have kind of indicated that's something you wanted. So here we go. We're going to do that this week. And also, I want to thank the guys at Boris FX because they've given us some prizes. So we're going to have the Boris FX Suite, which is like $1,200 or $1,300 worth. It's a 1-year subscription to all of their products. We're going to be giving that away, as well as 2 1-year licenses to Optics. So stay tuned, and I'll let you guys know what you need to do to win those. All right. Oh, plus we have a code too. They've given us a code. Maybe we'll get into that in a little bit. I'm on my main screen right now. Let me just get on into this, and we'll come back to all of that fun stuff. Let's get started on the fun. Yay. All right, it's good to see all the regulars here. Stuart, Kiora from New Zealand, Tracy from Oklahoma, Russ from England, and David also from UK. I think you're from UK, aren't you, David? If I got that wrong, forgive me. And lots of others. Orcapes, Chris, Robin. Good to see all of you guys here. Connecticut in the house. Colorado. Good to see you all. All right, so why don't we kick off with a real fun, just, start off with one thing. But before I do that, let me jump into the chat here, because I did say that we have a code that they've given us. So let me give you guys that. So if you want to get Optics from Boris FX. And by the way, it's available as a subscription or a what is this? Let's leave that page there. Okay, there we go. So that is where you can go to get it, and here's the code that will get you 25% off. Let me just get started with that. Normally Bruce would be pasting this in here, but he couldn't make it. So it's photoshopcafe.com. No, just photoshopcafe-25. So I'll make sure I put that in the comments afterwards. And we'll figure out, how we're going to give this away, how we're going to do this virtual rock, paper, scissors kind of thing as we go. All right, let's jump in right now, and we'll get back to all that stuff in a minute and just jump in here and do something. So I was wondering, okay, what can we show? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show how to create, we all know how to create different field effects, well, I shouldn't say we all know how, there's different ways of doing it where we can blur it and different things like that. But one of the things I like to do is to create a atmosphere, a hazy, foggy kind of a feel. So why don't we do that? And we're going to use optics. So, by the way, it works on smart objects or regular. So why don't we convert this to a smart object? So we're going to right-click, convert to smart object. I'm going to go to desktop only. The reason for that is I don't want my face covering up the interface. And then we're going to go under filter, Boris FX Optics, and this will launch the Optics plugin. Well, there we go. Photomaker's making a good case of why he should get it. 25th wedding anniversary. Congratulations on that. All right. So what I'm going to do is hit the little thing up there, and what that does is it resets everything. So right now we are resetting. So this is our view, and this is our original image. And so far we've done nothing to it. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with optics, it's a whole suite of plugins. There's a whole bunch of different things in here. And we'll look at some of them. We've got kind of rendering where we can do lens flares and some things like that. But then there's color effects. And we'll definitely be spending a bit of time in here because this is great for photographers as well as designers, compositors, everybody. But also, if you want to be doing the color, we've got Film Lab, which has got some really interesting stuff. We've got some things in image and different things like that. So what we're going to do right now, though, is I am going to jump into the light effects, I believe. And we're going to look at some things here. Now, I'm going to have to scroll down. So I'm using my interface a little bit different than normal because normally, I'm using this at a higher resolution than what I'm doing here. So I have to scroll to see some things. So I'm not quite used to it. So, we'll get kind of used to that in a little bit. So you can see, let me just whip through this really quickly. So here's a color. This is where we get all the kind of different color effects in there. You can see that. Let me pull this up and see if that will show the entire shelf. Normally you can see this at once at a higher res. There we go. Then we've got diffusion and blurs. And this is where we're actually going to be creating our fog effect. So why don't we do that right now? So here's our photo. We're going to click on frost, and you can see immediately it gives us a kind of a cool, like frosty effect. So fog also gives us that. Frost, we can go through halo, mist, net. These all give a kind of a similar, silk. You get that kind of foggy effect just looking at it different ways here. So it kind of depends on the style that you want. And of course, we could do a rack focus as well if you just want to do a blur, out of focus blur. I'm going to kind of go in here. I think I like the double fog is kind of neat. Now, whenever you click one of these, you also get a bunch of presets. So this is one of the things that makes this really powerful is the amount of presets that we have in here. So, if we were going to choose something like mist, we could jump in here and look at all the different types of mist effects we can get. Now, there's a whole ton of these, cooler ones, warmer ones. And of course, we're not going to be stuck to those. I'm going to jump on the net because I find this kind of interesting. So we can do this kind of an effect. And I like this. I guess it's like shooting through a net. But it gives this nice kind of a, atmospheric effect, which it takes a little bit more than just a blur in Photoshop. I guess if you're in Photoshop, you could put it in an overlay, blur, adjust the opacity, get a kind of a similar effect. Or maybe do the shape blur. So, there's there's a lot of different things we can do. So what I want to do though is focus on this, we're there, and then we can also go into parameters. And this is one of the things that makes, plugins, very powerful, is the fact that you can change so much. And here we can change everything. We can do the blur, so we can do a little bit of blur, or we can really punch that blur up. So let's give it a little bit of blur, so we've got some distance, and now we can also, we can put some hue, we can change the color, look at that. Little huey hue. Okay, so we can adjust the opacity of that blur. I'm sorry, and then we can adjust the saturation. We've got all that kind of fun stuff that we can do there. So that's kind of fun. And then, we can go in and reset those by just clicking on there. Let's go for just a slightly, as you can see, we can adjust everything. And if you don't like what's going on there, it's simple, just go back to the presets and just click back on the preset that you want. And that will just reset that. So, it gives us a lot of control. All right, let's move on. What we want to do with this, though, is I want to apply the blur just in the background, not in the foreground. So there's a number of different masks that we can apply. We'll look at the layers and how they work in a second. But, just understand that there's the original. We can click on the original. We can click on the layer that we're working on here. Kind of like layers in Photoshop. All right, this is how we add a mask. So we click, and it asks us what kind of a mask do we want. So we can do a gradient, which, you've seen me do this many times in Photoshop, where we apply a black to white gradient to kind of fade this off. And we could do that to fade it into the background. We could do a spot, which would be like a radial gradient. We got a path. We got the snap, easy mask. So we can do masking on there. Selections and paint. So I'm going to do paint. So we're literally just going to paint on here and see where we want to do it. Hey, Rick, how are you? All right, so let's do this now. So we're going to paint. So let me just hit the bracket key. So the left bracket key makes it smaller, right bracket key makes it bigger, just like Photoshop. Right now we have a blank mask. Nothing's happening until we start painting. And this is kind of how this works. You have to paint in order to get something to show. Now, as we can see, it's doing the opposite to what we want. So you'll see this little invert, click on there. Now the background is getting the effect, and now we can just paint away the mask where we don't want it to apply. So this is just like working with layers inside of Photoshop. See that? Just painting it away. Nice. That's familiar, right? Absolutely. All right, now if we just want to view the mask. So I think part of the thing, let me just pop myself in here. Part of the thing about optics is, number one, there's a lot of exploring. I'm not going to be able to show you everything because there's so many different plugins. So one of the things you're going to do is explore, but what I want to try and do today is teach you the fundamentals or the basics so you can kind of understand, how to use things like masks, the layers, how to apply filters, apply different filters, duplicate them, and these kind of things, and hopefully this is going to help you. So let's look at how would we, look at just the mask. If I want to view a mask, we know how to do it in Photoshop. You would option click on the mask, but here's going to be a little bit different. So if we go all the way to the end, this is the mask, and we click, this is how we view the mask. And now we can paint on the mask, and that should paint it in. Now, sometimes it gets a little bit different than what we used to. There we go. Now it fills with black. So it's a little bit different. At first, we paint with white, and then it becomes black. So you'll just have to get used to that. But that's how we can view the mask. Now, we can do some nice things to this stuff. We want to soften or feather this mask. Look up the top here. If you don't know what something does, I believe this is the size. This is the feather. If you hold over there, you see brush softness, brush size. So we can adjust all of that, right? So if I want to be painting with a harder or a softer brush, I can do that. So let's just go back into the mask so you guys can see what I'm doing. Let's set to 100. Now, I already showed you, we can just use the bracket keys to change the size. But if we want a harder brush, that will give us a hard edge. Turn that up to 100 will give us a soft edge, just like you would in Photoshop. And then, of course, we can adjust the transparency. All right, so we know that. Well, what about over here? We've got some things we can do with the mask itself. So if we click over there, we can change the density of that mask, which is just like working with the density of a mask inside of Photoshop. Let me show you what it does with the mask off. So all this is going to do is just dial back the effect. See that? So now the background is not getting that effect so much. And now it's getting more. Or the filter, but it's not going to show, obviously, the areas I've masked out. Then we've got other options we can do here, like we can soften the mask. And this is a nice way to blend in your brush strokes. See how that looks nicer? Let's choose the mask and let me show you what that does. So turn that all the way down is a hard mask. Turn it all the way up. It's a softer mask. So I would suggest just kind of turning the mask on and just, adjusting this and just blending it in so we can get a smoother transition. And if we look at that, this is what we have before. This is what we have after. So now we've applied our effect just to the background, not to the foreground. And if you wanted the midground to be kind of, semi-affected, well, you would just select the mask and then choose the opacity of the brush. We would bring that down a little bit. And then we could just kind of paint in this area here. And notice what that's doing is it's just going to give us, a semi-selected area. So it's going to kind of go into, like 50% gray kind of thing. So if we choose the mask, I'll show you what's happening. You can see in the mask, okay, there's a little bit of gray there. So now we're getting rid of some of the effect there. So if you wanted to, kind of blend that off, we just paint in these areas in the foreground. Now there's going to get part of that kind of effect. The area here that we masked in black is going to have none of the effect, and then the area we didn't touch in the background is going to have the full effect. So you can kind of add more depth to your images like that. So hopefully someone wants to put a dragon in here. Of course we should put a dragon in here. Maybe we will. All right, so let's have a look. What would we do if we want to apply something on top of this? So the way we can do that is, let me just go back to the full desktop so you guys can see the desktop and you're not looking at me. So to add a layer, click this little add layer icon. So what it does is it applies a layer and there's nothing on that layer yet. It's just called current. And you can see this is net. So this will give the name of the filter. So say we want to add a little bit of filter to this. Well, what we would do is let's choose color. And then under the color, let's go to, I don't know. Let's look at the color correct. And when you go to color correct, you're going to see different ones from different movies. Now, I'm just going to get rid of this. We don't want to look at the color wheels. We just want to look at this. And you might recognize some of these movies. We've got Babe, Back to the Future, Beetlejuice, Blade Runner. So all you need to do is just click on them. And that will apply, Ben-Hur. It'll apply the film grade. There's Close Encounters, Cleopatra, Dances with Wolves, Escape from New York. Guys, remember that one? We've got Harry Potter. So if you want any of these looks, Independence Day 1, I hated the movie Independence Day 2. What did you guys think of it? I thought it was terrible. The original one was really good. So we got Jurassic Park, Lawrence of Arabia. So, you can see, you can grab those, but you can also go into the parameters and you can adjust anything. Now, if you guys didn't know, Boris FX, the company, the parent company that makes Optics, Optics is the name of their Photoshop filter plugin. They do visual effects for movies, and let me just tell you about them really quick. I don't have to do this, but I'm just going to quickly do this. So this is their website. So Boris FX, just so you know who they are, they make a lot of these products, and their products are used in movies and TV shows. So things like, let me click on here. These are the kind of plugins they do for cinema, for movies, TV. They've got a lot of cool stuff here. Particle effects, like, a ton of stuff here. They worked for, Game of Thrones. They used them on there. Weta Studios. So a lot of movies and TV shows are actually using the Boris FX filters. Now we're going to be giving away the full suite. So that means the same ones they're using there, we are going to be giving that away today, as well as Optics. So the Optics are the filters that you're using for Photoshop or Lightroom. It's a plugin. I believe it's standalone as well, although I like to use it as a plugin in Photoshop or Lightroom. So that's what Optics is, and they took some of the filters that they use in Sapphire Effects and some of the most popular movie filters and brought those into Photoshop that we can use them as stills. So there we go. So now there's the history of what we've got there, guys. All right, so what if we like this effect and maybe we want to do something else? Let's create another one. So we're going to grab this. We're going to grab, just clicking that little thing that looks like a stack with a plus on it. That will add another layer. So we can go into another layer and we can add something else. Let's look in the Film Lab. Now, for those of you who would like to do, photography and like these film stocks, we've got some really neat film stocks in here. Look at this. So we can, they've very accurately reproduced, a lot of different things. We've got the 8mm, looks like an early digital photo. Just kind of joking. But, so we've got the ADFA, we've got the Lomo effects. We've got, all kinds of different types of film stocks here. And these are great. And we can apply these just in a single click. Autochrome. So if you see something in here that you guys like, let me know in the comments. Oh, PhotoMaker. S appended from the ones from Sapphire. I'm going to say you're probably right. Yeah, I'm going to say sure. I didn't think of that, but I think you're probably right. So, we've got all these different ones. Faded. Faded is kind of a popular kind of a look. So as you can see, we could just go on all day with these. Let me go back and let's apply something that looks kind of interesting. I like this, but maybe some of those are LUTs as well, sure. But the difference is all of these, if we click on parameters, we can adjust absolutely everything. So let's play around with this one that we've got in here right now. What are we working on? Film stocks, we can tell because it says that on the layer. And we're in a Film Lab, Film Stocks. So each one of these, in the shelf here has a bunch of different filters. So right now we're in the Film Stocks and we can see we're using the ADFA preset. But we can go in and change different things. So I'm not going to play around with it, but we can adjust like the curves. They call it film response, but it's just curves. Sometimes the names are names that come from visual effects, but these are... working on our photos or images. We can turn on black and white by choosing enable. Now, obviously, it has a tint over the top of it. You could find that tint and reduce it if you wanted, which is going to be in here somewhere. Let's have a look. The color correct. And you can see there's a lot of different things going on here. So I can see, our color temperature here is where we're getting that color. But let me turn off the black and white because I didn't want this to be black and white. And then we can change things, like our vignette. There's our color. By the way, you can click on there. You can change that. You can see how that affects it. So there's a lot of different things stacked up here. And I can see where this is where we're getting our color effect. Because we're changing the saturation of the different colors. Look at that. So if you want to make it more red, increase the saturation there in the red channel. Drop it down a little bit in the blues. And see how it starts to affect those red areas. I think that looks really good on that boat. And of course, we've still got the overall adjustments happening from our color here. So we can neutralize that just by bringing it down to white. And see how that's not affecting it anymore. So there's a lot of different things. We can do the vignette. Let's look at the vignette. Around the edges, we can make it very dark, make it light. And some of these settings you'll recognize from Photoshop, adjusting the roundness, the size of the vignette. We can change the aspect ratio, rotation. So there's more kind of settings than you would get inside of Photoshop. So these take this a long way. We've got grain. So, if you want to look at the grain, let's pop that open, hit the little plus there. If you don't want grain, turn it off. There's no grain. If you want grain, turn it on, grain. And we can do, a ton. Look how much we've got here with the grain, different channels. I'm going to take it down in the blue and the greens, so reds and greens, and just put it into the blue channel. And that gives us a little more control. The variations are endless, you're right, John. All right, so I'm not going to go through every variation, but I do want to let you guys know, of course, that you can download the free trial if you want to. Let me give you the link for that. So, just kind of play around with it. And also, if you guys decide you want to buy it, either the subscription or the standalone, so you can get both, use this code here, photoshopcafe-25, and they'll get you 25% off, which was very generous of them to give us that. Thank you guys for that. I told them we'd be doing this live stream, and they provided us with a discount as well as a giveaway. So we're going to be giving away all of their suite as well as 2 copies of Optics. So it's actually 3 copies, but the full suite will also, include all the video stuff. So I think we should probably try and give that to someone who does video. And right now I'm just trying to think about, how we're going to do that. All right, so let's continue. And I like what David Holstock says, combining this with Photoshop. Wow, imagine what one could achieve. And yes, there's a lot we can achieve. I like to do my cutouts compositing in Photoshop, and I'm finding, that I'm playing around like I'm not an expert in optics. Let me just let you guys know that right off the bat. I've been using it for a little while now, but I have a lot to learn. And, I've dropped my first tutorial on it this week, and this is our first live stream. So, it's fun. It's definitely a fun addition. I love what we can do with the visual effects, with the colors. It can just extend what we can do in Photoshop, and also, some of the things we can do much quicker. All right, so why don't we, with that, I'm going to create another new layer, and I'm going to show something different here, which is the film damage. And this is fun. How much time have we ever spent, trying to get that, old film damage look? And we can go in here, cross-processing. We've got all kinds of things. CSI Miami. We've got, silent movie, the old Charlie Chaplin kind of thing. We've got all of these. The piano. That's interesting. We got vintage. Ooh, that's kind of cool. All right, so let me show you another, just kind of a tip here. So if you're working with these and, you don't want to show everything in the stack underneath, like, we did the film stocks. So what if we want to just turn that off? See that little lightning bolt? Turn off the lightning bolt. And now this is going to show everything except for the one we just turned off. See that? So we've just disabled that filter. We're on the top here, and we're viewing everything underneath. We could take the color correction off as well if we wanted. And the net, so if you want to just show it with the original image. So what we're doing is we're looking at the original with the film damage. So that's all we're looking at right now. So we could kind of look at it like that. Or let's turn everything back on. So see how we get, the way we can view it like that. Now here's another interesting thing. It's kind of unique and maybe different. Let me demonstrate this because it might be unusual if you're used to Photoshop. So what we're doing is if we click on the layer on the bottom, it shows that layer. As we go up here, what it's going to do is it's going to show the current layer and everything underneath. So remember we applied net, and then we applied the color correct. Notice what we're doing. We're going up the stack here, and it shows everything underneath, film damage. Now, if you want to change while we're in maybe the film damage and you want to change something from the net, this little icon on the left, the edit, will bring up the settings on the net. Look, and we can choose different net settings. Of course, it's going to keep our mask that we created, but you can preview with all the filters. If you just want to change that or even go into the parameters on one of the filters, you can change that independently. All right, so that's kind of interesting and very unique the way it works. So let's go back to the top. We're going to choose our top one. So now we're still viewing everything, but now we're editing the parameters inside of our film damage. So let's go into the parameters here, and we can change everything. Look at this. So we've got these things. Let's look at what we've got for the hairs, because the hairs are these weird things that look kind of cool. So look at this. See that little round thing? The wiggle, we can change that. We can change the size of the hair. See that? We can vary that. So if there's more than one hair, we can change how it goes. There's a lot of stuff. Let's do the same thing with the scratches. There's our scratches. See how big scratches there? The black ones. Let's have a look at the detail here. There we go. So now we're changing where they are. Look at that. We can adjust the opacity of the Release that. Look at that. It changes the opacity. You know, we can make it more or less rough. You know, put some gaps in here in the scratches. Look at that. Now there's more gaps in the scratches. You can change absolutely everything in here. And this is kind of exciting for me because, you know, I've done a lot of visual effects work in the past. And, you know, I've worked with like 3D software and different visual effects software. And I like having this level of control. Now, this is obviously more control than a lot of people are ever going to need. But there it is. And of course, you know, the replay is going to be on after this. You know, once it ends, YouTube will put the replay on. Okay, let's move into something else, the looks. So if we look at this, we've got some, you know, day for night looks. We've got dreamy looks, dramatic, fashion. You know, so this is one of the things that's kind of nice about these. You can just go through and you can just click on those and just apply them. So notice though, when we are on this filter, remember we were in the film damage. Notice it will replace what we're looking at with whatever we click on while that one's selected. So let's go back to the film damage. Maybe we like that. And we want to apply a look on top. Let's grab another one. Let's apply looks. So now we can apply another one, day for night. Let's find something that's kind of interesting. Let's do the warm one. And now we can adjust the opacity of it. So look at this, we can take the opacity. So we can just dial in a little bit of it. And we can also use, we've got blend modes. Let me pull up the blend mode here. And let's look at if we try something like darken. So if we're using this in darken, watch what happens. Well, let me turn it on and off. We can preview it on and off. So see what that's doing is hitting those lighter tones. So let's hit those lighter tones with the darken blend mode. Why don't we create a new one just for fun? Now I'm going to show you another tip. Now I don't do all of this, by the way, to every photograph. We're going crazy, but I want to go through as many different filters and options and things as I can. So if you want to apply the looks on here, you want to duplicate what we just got. All you need to do is drag that up into the new layer. See that little plus? If I release that, it will apply that same filter to this one. So now we're working with exactly the same filter, but notice it looks different because we haven't changed the opacity or the blend mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something different. Let's do a cooler look. Let's find something like maybe the day for night. Let's see what have we got here. Oh, cool. Just cool will work. And now we're going to change the blend mode of this. Rather than darken, we're going to go to a lighten blend mode. And now this is going to start to put this tone into the shadows. The blend modes work the same as they do in Photoshop. So anything I've taught you guys on those blend modes in Photoshop are going to work the same here. So look at that. We've got all of that going on. Lots and lots of things, right? And here's the other thing. If you get something you like, because this can be overwhelming, as you guys probably already figured out. Let's go into the edit. We've got the film damage. I like what we've done with this film damage. So why don't we go up here? See this little star? Every single one of these presets have that. When you click this will make it a favorite. So you can toggle there and that will become a favorite. You know, so that's nice to know. And we can also, you know, we can make that the default if you want to make that default. We can create presets. You know, we've got a lot of different things we can do here. So the nice thing about adding this as a favorite is if you go into the favorites folder, the things that we are adding here are going to appear in the favorites folder. So it's going to make it a little bit easier to find some of these things. Actually, let's go into the film stocks. There we go. Now we're in the film stocks. And let's do that. Let's make that a favorite. And then if we go into the favorites, it should appear in there. Yeah, there it is. The egg for film stock. There it is now. Double click, film damage. We've added that. Okay, so that showed up, and I think it was called, what was it called under the favorites? Egg for Loma photography. That's what it was called. All right, great. So you can see how we can do that, guys. We can go in and we can do all that. Now to apply it, all we do is just click, and this will apply it to the image. And this is a smart filter. So if we look at this before and after, now we can go and we can mask. We can do all the things we like to do inside of Photoshop. And of course, you know, being a smart filter, if we double click on the effects right there, this brings it up where we can go in and apply this with a blending mode. So now we're using Photoshop only. So if we want to put all of this into overlay, adjust the opacity, just put it in just a little more subtle, we can do that because we have that control in Photoshop. And of course, because it's a smart filter, double click takes us back to optics, and all of these are non-destructive on that smart filter, and we can change anything we want. Like maybe we don't want the film damage anymore. Right click and then just choose delete layer. Maybe we don't want that film stock. Well, let me preview it first and see. I do want it, but I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit. There we go. I like that better. A little more subtle. Let's click done. Being a smart object, it will update. And we can continue working in Photoshop just like we always would. All right, let's look at something else. So this is kind of looking at some of the things we can do with photos and photography. One of the other areas that's kind of fun is working with visual effects. So let me open this up. This is actually something that I made a few years ago. I actually built these wasps inside of Maya from scratch. I built these with splines and textures, and then I did a photograph. This is at the Television Center in Hollywood, which is where I went to visual effects school at Noman School of Visual Effects. And so I shot the HDR, and then I composited these wasps into the background there. So I haven't used Boris FX. I used Photoshop for this, you know, created the glows for the eyes and all the fun stuff. But why don't we convert this to a smart object, and let's see what we can do with a little bit more kind of visual effects style. So let's go under the filter, and then we're going to go down to Boris FX. We're going to choose Optics. Now, if you guys are just joining us, we're looking at Optics plugin from Boris FX. We're doing a deep dive. If you missed what we've done so far, the replay will be live right here on YouTube. And if you're watching it, welcome replay crew. Now, I'm going to tell you guys how you can win because we've got giveaways. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do everything, but definitely I'm going to give one giveaway to the replay crew. So if you guys are watching afterwards, drop a comment and tell us why you would like Optics or why you would like the, you know, the entire suite. If you're a filmmaker, say, hey, I'm a filmmaker, I do video, I want the whole suite. And if not, say, hey guys, I want Optics. Drop that into the comments, and then we're going to do a drawing next week at Live from Lockdown. We will do a live drawing at random from those comments, and we're going to pick two winners there. We're going to pick a winner of the whole suite. So guys, that's how you're going to get that whole suite. So after we've finished this, go and drop a comment there. And then I'm going to figure out, I'm going to give away one live here. At the end, I've actually figured out how we're going to do that. So if you're watching it, drop that comment. We'll do a live drawing on there, and we're going to give away 1 year of Optics, and actually also 1 year of the whole Boris FX suite, which is worth $1,300. And Optics is $100. So we're going to give both of those away. Replay crew. And make sure you like it. If you don't like it, I'm not giving you anything. I'm just kidding. So guys, if you're liking this, smash that like button, and we're going to keep it up. And if you need the the Optics, go ahead, grab it. I've got a 25% discount for you guys. It's photoshopcafe -25. So the good folks over at the Boris FX gave us this code, especially just for you guys, just for the cafe crew, just for us. Let me give you a link there where you can go and grab it. There's a link, and you can download it right now. If you don't need it, then no worries. And you can download the trial too. All right, let's move on. Let's try something a little bit more visual effectsy. So here's my original, and notice it picks up the very last thing we did. So all of what we applied to the last image appears here, which is super nice. So it makes it easy for us to reuse those. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset everything. Boom. And now I want to go into take a different direction. We're going to go into some of my fun areas is going to be under light and render. There's some just cool, fun things happening in here. All right, so don't worry, we're not done with the photography either. We're going to come back to that. So one of the ones I find really interesting and unique, and I definitely want to apply this on some photos, is this eye light. We'll come back to this, and this lights up an area. And we will use this on some people in a little bit. But let me kind of show you. I was just playing around with this earlier on. And I've never actually used it before today. But if I change the blur and turn up the brightness, you can see what it is. It's an unusual shape that lets us go around the eyes. So let's bring the scale down. Let's put it up around these guys. And I can rotate it and everything like that. So I want it to kind of match where the eyes are in these killer wasps. And by the way, they have gas masks, so they're safe from COVID. Actually, no. What it is they let off chemicals from their sting. And that's why they have the gas masks. It puts their prey to sleep, and then they can come along and do whatever wasps do to them. All right, so we're going to blur this a little bit. Ooh, starting to get... What's that like? You know, turn around, bright eyes. Kind of looks like that. Or I've seen another movie. What was that movie they did this on? Was it... interesting. Okay, so I'm going to do the color, though. I want to give it more of a reddish glow. Let's go for a red glow. Click OK. Does that work? Ooh, I like that. Maybe make it a little lighter. So let's pull it in a little bit. All right. Yeah, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So obviously I've got to adjust the scale. Let's adjust that scale down a little bit. Get it to fit. Look at this. I can make this fit the eyes. You want more or less blur, we can do that. Adjust the brightness. I guess it does the brightness of the shadow, which is everything else. Interesting. Okay. All right, so there we go. We've been able to create that for those wasps. Your rate is not going to work. All right, so I want to do this exact thing to this other one over here, maybe the one at the back. So I want to duplicate. So what do? We create a new layer, and then we drag this in, and that duplicates the effect. And I can just drag it over to the next victim, please. All right, let's do the same thing again. Create a new layer. Drag it in. And if you have a mask, by the way, you can do the same thing with the mask. You just drag that mask in. Let's go over there. Make it a little bit smaller. So this is one of the nice things about plugins is the ability to change everything. All right, so we got a little smaller here. Let's reduce the blur a bit. All right, so we've got that. Yeah, that's kind of cool. So we've got that going there. Let's create another new layer on top. And why don't we do the lens flare? Because the lens flares rock on this thing. I'll be honest with you, the lens flares, I would get it just for that. Okay, so let's click. Because I don't know if you've ever used the Photoshop lens flare. You know, the red lens flare everyone uses? Yeah. Oh, you're using the default Photoshop lens flare. How cute. Okay, so here is the lens flare. Okay, so we can adjust this. You know, of course, once again, we've got all these millions. Millions is an exaggeration. But we've got all these different types of lens flares. You know, we can click in here. Look at these. Just, you know, just tons. This one's kind of neat. So what I would do is just go through here, just choosing. Ooh, it's got a nice anamorphic effect. I like that. I like that a lot. So, you know, there's a ton of lens flares, as you can see. You know, let me just grab a different one so you can see the J.J. Abrams kind of style here. We've got the stacked anamorphic look. Ooh, kind of like that. But, of course, we can adjust all of that live, real time. Let's move this over here somewhere. And the other thing I like, once again, because we're using a filter and not an overlay, we can go into the parameters. And yep, you guessed it, we can change the colors, the scale widths, you know, like make those thicker. You know, you want to go crazy, you know, discotheque style, we can do that. I kind of like that. That's kind of interesting. Okay. Definitely going a different direction. You know what? I've just got this idea. Let's change the color of it. So let's just see if we go maybe a little more into the pinks. Nice. And see how we could just change that. We can change the color of all these different things. But what I want to do is I'm going to apply one of these. And I don't want this front guy to be adjusted. So this is how we go in and we can use the easy mask. So this is another, we're applying our mask. And so let me show you a different type of mask. We've got this easy mask here. So with this, we choose the little person with the pencil on. I'm going to grab my Wacom tablet just because it's more comfortable. And I say, you know what? I want this to be the area I want to keep. So let's just go over the body. I probably don't have to get as carried away as I did there. Okay, so I want to keep that. I could keep the wings or not really too worried. And let's choose the outside area. So I want all of this. Let's grab all of this. We want this to be the background. Maybe I got a little carried away. Let me grab the eraser, and because I'm not sure what's going to happen with the wings, what it's going to select and what it's not. So let's go in and we're going to generate the mask, which is, I believe, this tool. And now it's going to generate this mask. Awesome. The mask is generated. Let's click on it and see what we've got. So if we click on here, notice what's happening. It's done the opposite. It's selected our person. In fact, let's have a look at person. Look at that. It did that automatic mask. If you want to clean it up, you can adjust the mask blur and, all that fun stuff. We can play around. We can get it more precise. We can paint more into the background and say, hey, I don't want that to be included. I don't want that to be included. If you want to be precise, let's do that. And we're going to generate that mask again. Okay, it's doing much better. So see how fast it is for masking? Awesome. But what I want to do here is I don't want that. I want to invert that mask. So let's invert it. So now everything but our wasp is selected. Click on our layer. Go back to our regular view. And look at this. Now we've applied our lens flare effect, but it's only affecting the background. Look at that. It's not affecting our wasp anymore. See that? So we've excluded it from there. And let me make it more squishy. I kind of like the more squishy J.J. Abrams style lens flare, and let it go up there. And so we can see what's going on there. Yeah, and guys, if you're liking this, please do me a favor and smash that like button. All right, so we've got that. So we're kind of applying that effect. So we're seeing some of those. Let's create another layer on top. And what else can we do? We can do a lot of things. But, let's play around with something different. Let's do some... I wonder what happens if we apply a light effect. So we want a Gobo effect, like, we're looking with shadow. When the light shines through something, it's called a Gobo in visual effects. When there's something between the light and what it's illuminated. And, kind of like light coming through the windows, which it looks like here. It's going through Venetian blinds. But we've got so many stencils here that we can use. And I want to use a more interesting stencil for this. Trees? Yeah. Let's go for foliage. By the way, it's not foliage, it's foliage. I hear people call it foliage all the time. If you do that, admit it. Come on, let me know. All right, now I want these branches maybe, or here. This is looking good. But the weird thing that's happening right now, let's go into the parameters, is right now we're getting light instead of shadow going through there. So we can change this from add to subtract. And notice now we get the shadows from our trees. That's what we want. See that? And let me just hide some of these effects underneath so you guys can see what's going on. Yeah, so there's our shadow from the trees. I like that. It's kind of cool. There it is before. I want to make it bigger though. So let's make these bigger. So we're going to grab the scale and let's increase the size of those trees. There we go. That's looking a little more creepy. And great. Let's turn everything else back on. And this is looking cool, but I don't want this above the, so let's pull it down. We're going to pull this underneath the lens flare and the eye lights. There we go. So now we get these lights above our shadow because we really want those to kind of show through more. In fact, let me take our effect here. Let's drag it down below the original. There we go. And what we need to do, obviously, is change the blend mode to let the light through. So let's just change our blend mode here. Is it lighten or is it darken? One of these. Maybe lighten or screen. Let me get this. It'll take me a moment to get this right. Hang on. Darken. And let's drop that down. Okay. That's working nice. I just need to turn those other ones on. That's what's happening. Select the top. Boom. There we go. All right, so I fell victim to that. That's one thing you got to get used to is whatever layer. Remember, by default, we're previewing the layer and the layers underneath. You can show these ones by clicking the little screen at the top, and that will view and compare with all of them. So just be aware of that. Otherwise, it's the layer you're working on is the one that's going to show. See that? And underneath. And it makes it kind of easy to work. So if we select the top, there's everything. Our shadows now are added underneath, so they're not covering our lights or our flares. And why don't we top this off? I'm going to grab at the top, and we're going to give it a color effect. Now let's go under the color. And let's do color correct. Why don't we give it a movie? Should we give it another movie look, guys? We've got a lot of these. Let's scroll down. Westworld. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. 10 Commandments. So I'm just clicking on some of these different ones. Matrix is cool. Wizard of Oz. If you guys see any that you want, let me know. Let's click on AI because it's a sci-fi kind of a feel. So we can take that, and now we're going to drop the opacity down on this and give it just a little bit of an effect. There we go. That's cool. Let's apply that. And essentially, you know, before, after. So you can add some really cool visual effects on there doing that. Let me show you something else that's kind of interesting. A completely different kind of approach here. I don't know if I want that photo. Let me grab something else. And as you can imagine, we're doing this like we always do. Well, let's do the composite that we did. And let's go here. Let's not talk about those kind of things in here, please. So if, see? That would be nice. I'm going to have to remove that comment. There we go. Great. All right. So here's our composite that we did. If you guys remember, we did this over the course of 2 Live from Lockdowns. We built this from scratch. So why don't we just grab this and I don't know, I'm just going to grab everything and I'm just going to create a layer on top. Command-Shift-E, and that will just give us a layer of everything on it. I could put it into Smart Object, but this is a huge file. So let's just do this. And, I'm going to show you another thing. Control-J. I'm going to fill this with black. What we're going to do is we're going to create one of our own overlays. Let's do this here. And so we're going to create an overlay just onto black. So let's go into the filter. And we're going to grab Boris FX Optics. Now this is something that we can use that's going to be reusable, guys. See you, Tracy. I see. Oh no, Robin's got to go. All right, so you can see there's our effect from last time. That's almost kind of interesting on its own, but let's reset everything. And what we're going to do is we're going to go under Render and Grunge. So grunge is interesting because you would think it's grunge, but what it does is it has these cool, like really cool textures it adds. Look at these textures. You know, I kind of like that icy one. We'll come back to that with the, look at these. Just all kinds of textures. And what makes these textures really interesting is the fact that we can go into parameters. These are not photos. We can change these. Look at this. We can change everything on these as well. So just like all of these are generated effects. You know, we can use different types of stamps for these. So we can adjust anything in there. All right, so let's go back to the presets, and I'm going to show you something interesting. Let's grab something like the dust cloud or spilt milk. Looks kind of interesting. Let's have a look here. What do we got? I'm just going to... All right, so let's have a look here. Let's go under the... Oh, I don't know. Let's go back there. Grunge, and let's choose cracked. Looks like I lost the panel here. I think I turned the panel off. So let me see, default layout should bring it back. There we go, the parameters. So if you lose something, you can just go back in there because I lost that. All right, so let's go back into the thing, and I'm just going to choose the dust as a place to start, or scratchy. Let's just go here. All dirty. I'm just looking for something I can use as a base. So just quickly, just clicking through here. Let's use cloudy. Why don't we use that? All right, so let's go into the parameters. And how this one works is it gives us stamps. So notice it's stamp 1, stamp 2, stamp 3. And these different stamps show different things. So if I take the density down on all of these, you can see what it's going to do. So let's go down to stamp 3. Take the details all the way down. You see nothing. So what we're doing is we're applying these stamps. So let's take the stamp. This is the master up the top here, of course. So let's do stamp 1 density. And we've got clouds. So we can go in and we can change these to different things. So we're going to use flex. I'm going to change the color to white. All right, that looks good. And let's change this color to white. So that's both the different types of flex that are going in there. Let's adjust the brightness. Great. And we see we got the opacity. Now let's do the size. We're going to bring those down a little bit. And let's increase the density. It's going to give us more of them. See what we're doing here. And let's make those more opaque. We can make the size of the second stamp bigger or smaller. So we're going to create some snowflakes kind of thing. Now, this is what's kind of nice. When we go up the top here, we can increase the density of the whole thing. So if we had other stamps, it would work with those as well. So how dense do we want our snow? And we can change the size of those. Large, small. Let's go for small snowflakes here. And of course, we can adjust the brightness of those. Let's make them super bright. Now, one of the things that's kind of fun here is we can adjust the amount. But the seed is cool. It's used a lot in 3D plugins. And what it does is the random seed just changes the way they view. So they use this in animation, to animate it. So we can just say, hey, I don't like the configuration. Just adjust the speed, and it's going to randomly give us something else. Like there. That looks pretty cool. I like that. We're going to apply this. Yeah, lots of things to play with, Rod. Lots of things. All right, so I'm just going to apply this. And the cool thing about doing this, guys, is if I go in here and I select all of this, I can choose to edit, define patterns. So here we are inside of Photoshop. And, if I ever want snow again, I'm just going to click snow. We're done. And, let me delete it so I don't have it anymore, just so you know. All right, so what we're going to do is choose window. And now if we go into our patterns, of course we could have just, used a blend mode and applied it, but I want to show you guys how you can reuse it on any image. So here it is, it's in the patterns now. Drag it onto the image, it's going to appear there, and I'll have this forever for any photos I want. And let's change our blend mode into something like a screen blend mode. And apply a little blur, filter blur. And I wouldn't blur it in the overlay because you might want to use it differently. So we're going to use motion blur. I'll convert that to a smart object. Sure, why not? And now we can adjust the direction we want this to go in. If we don't want to, if we want it to look more like rain, if you just want to make it look a little bit like snow, there's different types of blurs, effects. We could have it just kind of coming down. We could apply multiple instances of it at different sizes. Like, let me show you. Double click on the pattern here. What happened there? I did something weird. There we go. All right, so we want the pattern fill. Where's our pattern fill properties? Let me select that. Oh, I know. We want the patterns dialog box. There it is. Double click on this, and we can change the name. We can change the properties. There's a lot of different things we can go in here. Double click, we can change the size. So let's make that a little smaller if we want that more dense. Look at that. And then we put this back into our screen mode so we get, you know, it's more dense now in the background. See, we've got different densities. We can apply the blurs, you know. So, okay, there's a lot of things we can do with that. So that's just another way of how we can do this inside of Photoshop. All right, let's do one more thing here because we're just about out of time. I do have a couple of, I'm going to tell you guys how to win this. So don't go if you guys want to win. So I'm going to show you one more thing and then we're going to do the drawing and I'm going to give away one of these licenses to Optics. Okay, so let's go under Filter. And then we're going to go under the Boris FX Optics. And I was going to use this. You know what? I'm going to undo. Let me undo this just for fun. If you want to cancel, you hit that. What I'm going to do is we're going to go for this. Just for fun, is we're going to do a fix my photo. All right, and here we are at Fix My Photo. If you want me to work on your photo, submit your raw file to fixmyphoto.net. Put your name in a file name so I know it was you. And let's go back to our desktop and no more than 3 submissions per person per week. All right, so this is from Fix My Photo. I saw someone had submitted this photo. And why don't we work on your photo instead of mine with the Boris FX? So the Optics. So here's a photo that someone had submitted here. Stephen Hodgson. Are you in the house, Stephen Hodgson? So we've got this raw file. Here it is. And we're going to right click and we're going to choose to edit in Boris FX Optics. Yes, it works inside of Lightroom as well. So it's a Photoshop and a Lightroom plugin. So it's going to pop up. If we've done any adjustments, those would be showing. So what I want to do with this is let's go under our grunge again. Because remember we saw something that looked kind of cool. And I want to apply this. Let's look at these, one of these icy kind of, there we go. Cold as ice. So we got a vignette so we can adjust the vignette. So it's not going to go through the whole photo. Let's vignette that, choose a parameter. Adjust that density of the stamp. Look at that. We can increase that. Of course we can. And we want to do the frame. So let's soften that frame a little bit. There we go. Let's soften it even more. And of course, you know, we can move this around. We could change the color of that if we wanted. And we just simply apply that. And let's go. So, Catherine, there's 2 prices. There's a subscription price and there's an owning price. And please use the code photoshopcafe-25. That will save you 25% off. If you guys want to save a quarter of that, there's the code there. Just put that in when you check it out. You can go anywhere on this site and get it, but let me give you this link. Probably makes it easier to find it. So you can do that. So there we go. We applied this inside of Lightroom. And what happens when we did that? By the way, did Stephen appear? Nope, Steven's not in the house right now. That's okay. So as you can see here, you know, it creates, just like it does when you work, whenever you work in Lightroom, it creates a virtual copy. So there's the original Nikon RAW file. And then it creates a TIFF, applies it to the TIFF. And there we go. We can apply these filters. So as you guys can see, there is a lot of stuff in here. Like a ton of stuff. All right, so let me get myself into the lower left corner in case I wasn't there before. And let's look at doing some fun things. All right, so right now we have, I'm going to give away a copy right now. So let's do that. And by the way, if you guys are watching in the replay crew, just before I give away a copy, which we will do live right now. But for replay crew, if you're watching the replay, and also the guys live, I will let you do this for the main one as well, but we'll make it fair. So anyway, so replay crew, just drop a comment into the comments section that you will see after we're live. And, you know, if you want to be in to win the entire suite of products, which is $1,250 worth, I believe, all of the Boris FX sets, you know, Sapphire effects and all this stuff for video. Just say, hey, I'm a video I do video, and I would love to have Boris FX for my video. And we will draw a name at random. Now, if you're not video, just jump in there and say, hey, I want optics, or tell me why you would like it, or tell me why you would like the video as well. And that way we'll do a random drawing, and we'll do a random drawing. We will do this live next week where we will randomly pull out a winner of the entire suite. And we will also randomly pull out a winner for optics. Now, the reason I want you to say the whole suite is because if you're a video person, you'll be in to win the suite. But if you're not a video person, let that prize go to someone that's going to use it. I think that makes sense, right? And then you can still win. If we'll draw that first. If you're the first person that comes up, who's a photographer, will get optics, and the first person that comes up with video will get the suite. Makes sense, right? All right, but we're going to do one here live right now. So for the people watching live, what I'm going to do is, because right now, currently at this exact moment in time, there's 214 people watching this live, but only 132 likes. Come on, guys. You've got to hit that like button. If you want to win, guys, you've got to hit that like button. That's fair, right? All right. Now, I'm not just going to draw from the like. I wish I could. But I have a secret thing I'm going to do. So this is how we're going to give this away. You guys ready? So I think it's $100 for the annual plan and like $119 or something for the... because people are asking about this a lot. Let me just give you guys the answer to this question that you're all asking about pricing. Okay, so let's go to the products here. If you go under products, borisfx.com, there's optics, and we can see let me go here, the little plus, let's zoom in. So if you want to buy it now, the price purchase option is a new license, which gives you the whole thing's $149. Annual subscription is $99, or a monthly subscription is $9. So, if you want to own it for a month, you can. Or you want to just buy it outright, you can do that. So those are the licensing options, guys. And of course, if you put in the code, not that one. That's a different code altogether. That's the code actually to come here. That's the link. Put in the code photoshopCAFE- or -25. That will give you 25% off any of those plans. All right, guys. So now we're going to be giving away one right now. So I think the best way, let me go to me. Hi. Best way to do this is, I see my screen is a little bit, let me just move that over. That's what I love about being live. And I guess in case you guys haven't noticed, we're very professional at what we do, but not necessarily professional at how we present ourselves. But of course, down to earth is what we are. All right, guys. So, who wants it? What we're going to do is, because there is, how many people are here right now? 212 people right now. I'm going to ask you to choose a number between 1 and 209. Okay, so choose a number between 1 and 209. I've already chosen my number, and the person closest to my number is going to win. So this is the live version. So yeah, I see people are putting your numbers in there. All right, lots of numbers going in here. And I'll give you guys a second to do that. Now, if you're watching the replay, drop a comment, and you don't have to put a number in. Just tell me, hey, why, say, hey, you know what? I'm a video. I do video, and I would like to get the whole suite. I'd like to win that. Say that. Or I'm a photographer, and I want optics. Put that into the comments. Next week during Live from Lockdown, we'll do a live. During the live stream, we'll draw those two other winners live next week, which will be 1 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube at Photoshop Cafe. And we're going to do a live drawing right now. When everyone's finished putting their numbers in here, I see lots of numbers jumping in here. The person that gets closest to the number that I already put down is going to be the winner. I know what number I did. Let me see if anyone's got it exactly yet. So drop your numbers in, guys, quickly. We're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon. And We're going to get the person that is the closest to that number. I'm looking through here. All right. And, ooh, hang on. What did that one? Ooh, we're getting close. Ooh, okay. I'm just checking here. Okay. Ooh, all right, we're very, very close. All right. And, what do we got there? I'm looking. Just give you guys a second more, because the numbers are still coming in. There's a little bit of a delay here, guys. So get those numbers in quick. Pick a number between 1 and 209. Drop it in. These numbers are still coming in hard and fast, so I'm going to give you guys a second. All right. And it's still coming in. Hard score gets 200. Susan, choose 101. Larry, 128. Chris Bacon, 89. David Taylor, 157. Donald Haynes, 74. Hard score, one guess each, by the way, guys. Hard score, you're disqualified. Sorry, if you do it more than once, you get disqualified. So, no cheating, guys. Once only. Tracy guessed 4. Matt Adams, 9. Kathy, 1. Oh, did Kathy do twice? Yes, you did. Sorry. Only once. Oh, Matt Adams did it twice. Did I not? I didn't tell you that, guys, before, did I? All right. So, that's it. Has everyone got it? All right. So, I have the number. We're closing down once, twice. What if 2 people pick the same number? Then we'll have a draw off between them. Okay, so closed. It's now closed. We're not taking any more numbers. And I'm going to scroll up because I didn't see anyone get the exact number, but I saw someone go very, very close. So let's have a look. I'm going to go all the way to the top just to be sure. Okay. And I'm going to tell you who's the closest. And then... Okay, so we'll start with the first one. So, of course, the first one, Walt is the closest. But then Mr. Freewheeling got closer. Gary Dillon got closer. So that means it's less than 73. John Oswald is close. I'm not sure who's the closest. But then we're going down here. And Dana Carr is now the closest at 51. Okay, let's see if we get closer. So Dana's winning right now. 51. Make sure I don't miss it. Oh, we have a new leader. Joe Jaramillo. Joe Jaramillo at 48 is now the closest. Okay. Where are we going to go? See if we get anyone else any closer. Tracy was close, but not as close as Joe. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And do we have anyone else? All right. Joe Jarillo. I said your name wrong, but quick, drop a comment. Because if you're not here anymore, of course you're not going to get it. Gotta be present for this one. So Joe at 73. Oh, did I say Joe at 73? Oh, no. Sorry. Not Joe at 73. I apologize. I did not mean that. Oh, hang on a sec. Did Joe vote twice? Oh, Joe! You voted twice. Oh. Sorry. Sorry, Joe. Only one vote. Oh. So, that means Tracy is now the closest. At 47. Sorry, Joe. I hate to do that, but only one vote is fair. So, Tracy, you won. The number I picked was 49. And Tracy got 47. So, congratulations. Congratulations. You have got it. All right. So, don't worry, guys, if you didn't win. Oh, you posted twice too? Oh. Oh boy. So who else would be the closest then to 49 who didn't post twice? So who else did not? Because we've got to be fair. We can't have different rules for different people. So who was the closest then that didn't post twice? If that's you, let me know, guys. Who was the closest to 49? Mr. Freewheeling at 79. I think there might have been someone closer, but let's see. Dana Carr at 51. All right, Dana Carr. We gonna have anyone else beat out? That's some good sportsmanship. It is. Thank you, Tracy, for being nice. Yep, Dana Carr at 51. So Dana, congratulations. You are the winner. Now, if you didn't win, guys, don't worry. After the replay goes live, you can still drop a comment in there into the replay crew, and you guys you still get an opportunity to win. So you have, another, because I figured we would do that way so then the live crew also have a chance to win the whole suite. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be fair. But make sure you put your video person into that comment to be in for the entire suite. If you're not doing video, then just say you're a photographer or don't say anything, and then you can win the regular optics, because I don't want to give the video suite to someone that doesn't do video because it's just a waste. Does that sound fair? So, all right. So, Dana. Oh, hang on. 49, 51. Yep, 51 is Dana. 49 was the number I chose. So Dana, do me a favor. Please contact me after this. Just go to photoshopcafe.com and you'll see the contact there, and just send me a message. And what we'll need is your email address and your name, of course. And then we can give this to the nice guys at Boris FX, and they're going to send you your license for optics. So congratulations. All right, guys. So we'll be giving away another one next week in the live drawing. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and once again, I want to thank the guys at Boris FX for sponsoring this, giving us 3 copies to give away, and a nice discount code. Thank you guys; it was very kind of you. So if you guys want to check out optics, and there is the link, and there is the code here. This is the code to save 25%. Now, if you guys want to see more of this kind of thing, let me know. Because, Live from Lockdown will do whatever it is you guys want to see. And a lot of you guys were asking for this. So, I reached out to the guys at Boris FX and said, hey, can you help us out here, get on board? And here we are. So, So check out the replay. And we'll do this again, guys. So, let us know what you want. Thanks for joining us. And, So don't forget, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And that way you won't miss any of the videos from us or live streams. And also, if you haven't subscribed to Photoshop Cafe, just do that. Anyway, guys, if you want to hit the like button, smash that like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And, that's it. So, see you guys next week. You got it. All right. How long is the discount good for? I don't know. They didn't give me a time. So I don't know, but I'm gonna guess for a little while. See, Taylor's gonna watch the replay. Janice, thanks. Good night, all. You got it, Kathy. Thank you, Susan, David, Donald, David, Morton, Tracy. Thank you for being a good sports person. Dana, congratulations. Art Mac, thanks for joining us. Photo Maker, Alsdare, thank you. Good to see you again. Actually, did you join last week or have you been around a while? I think I gave you a shout out last week too. David Hofstock, good to see you again. David Hofstock. Stuart Braithwaite, good to see you. Kiora. Stephen Hutchison. And then we've got Vandenberg. We've got Yvonne. Donald Haynes. Another regulars. Pigeon River, good to see you again. Ray L, good to see you. Raj Shelley, thanks for joining us. Russ, thank you for popping in from London. Chris Bacon, good to see you again. David Jacobs, good to see you again. Kathy Klassen is, yes, I believe the 25% is good on the license for the 149. So any version of Optics, that code is good for. So, yeah. So, all right, guys. Thanks for joining us. And we'll see you all next week.